Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Mental Health Awareness. This is the episode for December 11th, 2023. This is another episode of the JAWS Coffee Chat with Jennifer A. Whitaker. And today we have our fabulous co-host and host, Mayaka, or I'm sorry, C-Snaps. You didn't put it change. You didn't change it, but we'll go with C-Snaps. And I am Elizabeth Overkirsch of Oh My VA Admin Services. As I said, we are so glad you could join us. We always like to give a special thanks to some great folks for replaying our shows on their platforms. Zach Clayton of the PAC Channel, Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel, and Lawrence Wingate of Wingate Studios. We definitely appreciate their support and participation. So be sure to give them some likes and follows too. Be sure to check out our various social medias and like, share, and subscribe to the JAWS Coffee Chat social media pages, groups, our YouTube channel, or wherever it is that you came to find out about us today. Well, C-Snaps, let's just jump right in. What do we have to go on today? I believe we're talking about imposter syndrome, yes?
Yes, so that is what we're talking about today. So I feel like imposter syndrome works alongside the topic of negative self-talk. So we're going to dive into what imposter syndrome is, and just go from the definition and work our way through it. So imposter syndrome is internalized beliefs that your success is due to luck or external factors rather than your skills or intelligence or qualifications. This false ideal leaves us feeling with a perpetual feeling of being an imposter, under constant threat or fear of being exposed as a fraud. You begin to feel uncertain and have self-doubt, as well as a sense of that you've tricked people into allowing you to take on this position, and you're caught in a vicious cycle of inadequacy, guilt, and anxiety. Whew, what a long definition.
It is. But it's a pretty long syndrome too. It's very in depth.
Yes. And so with imposter syndrome, I don't know, have you ever experienced that, EJ?
Not to the full extent that that definition goes into, but I've absolutely had the feeling of inadequacy or the guilt at taking money from a client for what I do. It seems like, oh, this is so simple. I mean, I shouldn't be charging for this. Or one client I had that really I was an accountability coach for her, and I couldn't see that I was having a good influence on her, but
Mhm.
she kept wanting to work with me. So that was my feedback that yes, I was, but I felt like such a fraud at times with her. I was like, I'm not really doing anything specific. I'm not a trained coach, but she kept wanting me to help her. So that was ultimately my feedback to stay in it. But yeah, there was a certain amount of a feeling like I was had a little bit of imposter syndrome going there.
Yeah, I can totally relate. Yeah, I get those feelings of inadequacy. And like you said, when you have to take money from people and you just feel like you're doing something easy that they should know how to do. But in all actuality, I find out that um, people don't have the same skills that you have. And so where you can help them out in one way, they can help you out in another way. And a lot of times, we get caught up in, especially if we own a business, when it comes to family's always like, oh, can you do this for me, and you're like, this is my business, and they should really pay for your business so
Mhm.
that when you actually do become successful, you don't feel like that fraud, because technically you've been giving your services away for free and you have the skills to do it, even though other people might not see it, or even if they do see it, they might take advantage of it. So let's look at the imposter syndrome cycle. A new project or task, then comes anxiety, procrastination, or over preparation. The project gets complete, a brief relief, or sense of accomplishment, realization that, oh, I was lucky, somebody else would have done a better job. And then you go into self-doubt, anxiety, and feeling like a fraud. So that is the imposter syndrome cycle. And then the cycle repeats after every success, basically. And it can be overwhelming at times because you're not looking at the impact that you actually have on the world. And so, I want to say I'm getting most of this data from dataincubator.com. So if you want to just go to their site, look up imposter syndrome, you'll get the same information that I'm trying to relay to you. And so there are 6 steps to overcoming the imposter syndrome. So let's dive into how we can overcome these challenging beliefs that we basically have in our mind. Side note, our unconscious mind plays a big part in our belief system. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, definitely.
So when you have that imposter syndrome belief, it's really your unconscious mind feeding your negative thoughts instead of you accepting and owning up to what you've created and what you've put out into the world. So, step 1, focus on the facts. Are you focusing on fear rather than facts? So, start by building up your confidence by becoming more aware of your strengths. You can conduct a personal SWOT analysis, which is basically your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. How often do we do SWOT analysis? And what have you done SWOT analysis on?
I have done a SWOT analysis. One of the groups I work with goes over that every once in a while. I also have a second group that I've done, which is actually your strengths analysis. It's 34 strengths. It's from Gallup. I can't even think of the name of it now. The group I'm in is Unleash Your Strengths, but it's based on the Gallup Clifton Strengths assessment. And you answer a bunch of questions. Are you more this? Or are you more that? And it'll give you 34 of your strengths. Most people live in their top 10 strengths. And when they start getting towards doing things in their 30, 31, 32 strength, that's when they start becoming drained. Like for me, competition is one of my very low strengths. It's like 33 or 34. Actually, command is 34. So it's like 32 or 33. And when I start getting into competitive situations, I become very drained. I have no energy and I just don't want to participate. So I counter that by being funny about it and play to lose. But I play really hard and I have fun doing it, but that way it takes the pressure off having to win. But yeah, anytime I start getting into my lower strengths, I just become very drained and tired. So knowing what my top strengths are, I can start the SWOT analysis, top strengths, lower strengths. We call them lower strengths rather than weaknesses, but in a way, that's what they are. And then focusing on what opportunities I have to focus on my strengths. And then what threats I face that put me into my weaknesses or my lower strengths.
Oh, I love that. That's good. I like that.
It's a great little test. It's like kind of like Myers-Briggs or personality test, but it's a lot more encompassing. Whereas Myers-Briggs gives you 4 little segments that you really have to delve into. This gives you a single word for 34 different aspects of your life, and no 2 people are going to be the same in any way, shape, or form. you may have the same top 10 strengths, but they're all going to be in a different order. You will never meet somebody who has the exact same strengths you do in the exact same order.
Nice. I love that. I love the whole SWOT analysis thing and how it's you did it slightly different and you focus on strengths rather than weaknesses. And yeah, breaking that down, I absolutely love that. And so I think like when we focus like on just our strengths and those facts, and we pair our strengths with those facts, then we'll see that no, we have the skills to do what we were called out to do, you know, whatever it may be. If it's doing hair, or if it's, you know, running a podcast or doing a business or whatever it may be, you have the strengths to do it. So don't feel like an imposter if you know you're playing in your strengths. Even if you're not playing in your strengths, you know, it's you still you could be playing in some of your lower strengths, and it'll still work out. I like what you said about threats, because I feel like that's an important topic to bring up. And something that my planner actually goes is, it's like, what threats, distractions, or problems will you face this month? Like, what do you need to avoid? And I think if we avoid the negative, then we'll probably come out better without having that negative self-talk, you know?
Right. Yeah. And threats, some people misinterpret the word threats as in dangers, but in a way, like I associate threats with my weaknesses, meaning things that threaten to make me unhappy or threaten to bog me down and make me procrastinate. Because just because you procrastinate doesn't mean that you can't get it done. It's just not something you enjoy doing. So it's more of a weakness. How can you turn that activity around into something that you do enjoy doing by doing it differently and making it a strength and an opportunity rather than something that bogs you down?
Right. I love that. I think I do the same thing with my threats, distractions, and all of that other stuff, because I know if people look in my planner, they're like, this is a distraction, like, you know? And
It's just something that somebody else, it may be one of their strengths. But for
right.
you, it's a distraction because it bogs you down. It slows you down and keeps you from getting a bunch of things and being productive.
Right. And that's what I'm all about, being productive and overcoming like the hardships. Yeah.
Do you find you do better if you get those threats out of the way early,
I
or
find that, oh, go ahead.
or do you like to get a lot of things done and therefore, okay, I've gotten all this done. I can take the time to do these things that take me more time or that I don't like to do. Which way do you work?
So I always work with the most important thing. And
Okay.
as far as the threats go or the distractions, I go, okay, this is going to be a threat or a distraction. And then when I look at that type of distraction, I'll go, okay, it's popping up. And then I go, okay, handle this so that it's no longer a distraction.
So it
And I
gets
can,
it out of the way.
yeah, I move it to the side so I can focus on what I really want to get done and accomplish on that particular day. But I love the whole the threats thing. So I'm really good about redirecting my distractions. Once you know what they are, because you have to know what they are. Because if you don't know what they are, oh, I need a hot chocolate every 2 minutes. You know, if you don't know what they are, then you're going to be constantly going to that distraction versus getting what you actually need to get done.
Emails are my threat. I have
I,
way too many email addresses. And so, oh, I need to check my email. Has something come in? Well, it may have come in, but will you have time to do it because you're too busy checking your emails?
right. Yeah, I totally get that. And I actually know a solution to the email problem. I follow this one lady, her name's Tanya Dalton, and she kind of goes, with the emails, you just take 15 minutes out of your day and don't plan to just set a time. Don't plan to get through it all. The goal is not to get through it all in one day. It's to take 15 minutes a day and lower the I guess the amount. And you'll eventually see that it'll go away over time, but it might take time depending on how many emails you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, step 2, acknowledge, validate, and let go. So the best method to combat this feeling is to acknowledge that you're feeling inadequate, validate it's okay, and then let go of those feelings. So I know for me, I was taught by my counselors to validate my feelings. So when feelings come up, do you push them aside and go, I'll deal with them later? Or do you validate each feeling that you're feeling?
I do a little of both. I acknowledge that I'm thinking that way. And a lot of times I was like, all right, get behind me, Satan. Get away. I'm not going to deal with this. I know that's you talking. It's not really me. And then I like I say, I accept it, but then I was like, push it aside. I'm not going to deal with that now. I'm not going to figure out why I'm feeling that right now. I'm going to step into something that I know I can do and get something accomplished. And that gets me past that feeling of inadequate. Then I can go back and think, why did I feel that way about this? And try to analyze what it is that makes me feel so negative about that activity or overall mood or whatever.
Right. I like that because I kind of do that too, I guess, in a way, because I don't recognize what feelings that come up, you know? And so I'm like, oh, what feeling am I feeling? And, I just go and look at the feelings wheel. I got two, sorry. One for the positive side, and it's a really big wheel, and then one for the negative side. So first you look at it and go, is it positive or negative? Usually if you're on the feelings wheel, it's going to be negative. Every once in a while you might get a positive feeling and go, oh, I'm feeling really good, but I don't know what that one is either. But the negative feelings, we tend to take and more looks at them. And so I look at the feelings wheel and I go, this is the feeling that I'm feeling. And I do want to say that even though they're called negative feelings, every feeling is important and needs to be validated,
Yep.
whether positive or negative on the negative side. And so with the negative feelings, I go and I look at this wheel and I go, it might take me a minute, especially if I don't know the feeling that I'm feeling. So let's say I'm feeling the imposter syndrome and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm inadequate or not good at I'm an imposter. This is fake. I'm being fake. And so I'll try to find the feeling on the feeling wheel that kind of matches that feeling and go, oh, this is that feeling. And then I'll sit with it for a minute and go, why am I feeling this way? And, when I feel that way, it kind of helps me just say, okay, I feel this way. It's okay to feel this way. And then washes away under the sea.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, step 3, reframe your thoughts. Positive and negative self-talk shapes your thoughts, reshaping the way you think about yourself and set realistic goals. You'll begin to see yourself as deserving of your place. So, reframing your thoughts. So we talk a lot on the show about negative self-talk and how to reframe our thoughts with affirmations and things like that. You want to dive into that or?
Um, I guess in a way I've already, covered that because when I do get that negative self-talk coming in, I, like I said, get thee behind me, Satan, get away. I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to go that route. I know it's not true. So I'm struggling with this one a little bit. You
No,
go ahead.
okay, no worries. So I like to get thee behind me, Satan, and everything. So negative self-talk is kind of hard, especially if you don't realize that you do it. A lot of people tend to negative self-talk jokingly, and they'll think that that's okay. But it's still negative self-talk, and you need to address it. And so the best solution that I can say coming up with negative self-talk and how to reframe that negative self-talk into positive self-talk is to say, to own it. Yes, I did complete this successful whatever. I did somebody's hair and it was great. I did somebody's nails and they turned out beautiful. They're thanking me and they're constantly thanking me, you know. Just like that person who kept coming back to you, you could write that down in a book and say, oh, I'm doing a good job because I know I'm doing a good job because this keeps happening positive to me.
Yeah.
um
Something you said triggered a thought, and then it disappeared. Um, I hate it when that happens.
It's okay. Maybe you'll come back to it. But yes, I think that's you gotta be realistic, like about first off, be realistic about your goals. Don't try to set goals that are out of your control. But also with the negative self-talk, just focus when you reframe your mind, it's not a one-time fixes all solution. It's an overtime process. And a lot of people use that overtime as affirmations. And some people go further to do the positive self-talk. With the
I just thought
affirmation,
about, yeah, I
go
just
ahead.
thought about what it was. It's, you said some people will jokingly talk negative, and
Yes.
sometimes that's a defective, not a defective, a reflective mechanism to get positive feedback. You say something negative to, about yourself, and they'll almost instinctively, oh, that's not true. You do da da da, and they reinforce it. So I, when I was younger, I was very self-conscious and had low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I grew up behind a genius of a brother, and so I always felt inferior. And it didn't help any that he called me stupid, and what kids do, right? But I learned to deflect it by saying something negative about myself first before somebody else had a chance to, even though they probably wouldn't have. But that way, I also get people to counter it, to contradict my thought in an effort to get that confidence. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. Oh, that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's why they do it to kind of, but I mean, even still, I think,
It's
uh,
still dangerous. It's still,
yeah,
hard on you because you start to believe what you say, even though you're wanting someone to
valid.
confirm that it's not true.
Right.
There's still a part of you that believes it, to
Yeah.
be able to say that in the first place. So you were
Uh,
talking about the realistic goals, and that's a big thing too, is if you set too high a goal, you never feel like you meet it. And
yes.
so
Yes.
you're never going to feel like you're fulfilling something. But you also don't want to set goals too low because you can do more.
Right.
So it's just like so many things in life, it's a balancing act.
It is. And then let's move on to step 4. Share how you're feeling. And so, have you ever just reached out to someone and said, hey, I'm not feeling that. Oh, let me read this first. Reach out and talk to someone you trust and share your concerns. This can be a friend or colleague, and you may be surprised to see how many people relate to how you feel. So, have you ever called a accountability partner or just someone that's a good friend and go, hey, I'm feeling like crap. And then they go, well, yeah, I'm feeling like crap too. But you have two totally different reasons of why you're both going through whatever you're going through.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. I used to have panic attacks from the stresses or the negativities and all of that. And I had a set of three different friends, three or four different friends that would rotate between, because I didn't want to burden any one friend with always coming saying, I'm feeling so down. I feel like, all the negative thoughts. And so I would rotate between three or four, and inevitably, not all the time, but a lot of times they'd be like, oh yeah, I totally relate to that. I was going through that last week, or, I have a friend who has that same situation, or, this type things. So yeah, it's so many times what we think is just so uniquely me is really a universal feeling that you don't get on social media, because you see the snapshot of that wonderful thing they did, rather than the 4 hours before that one thing where they felt horrible.
That is so true. Never compare yourself to social media. Never.
Exactly.
Oh, social media is an interesting topic of its
Of
own.
its own. Yes, it is.
Yes. But what I will say is that 90% of the time when you're feeling a certain way, someone has either went through it or had and felt the same way, or know someone who's been through it and have felt the same way. And so it's very important to just know that um you're not alone. And so we all go through ups and downs,
Anybody who
there's
says
that.
they've never been down and never feel bad about themselves is lying through their teeth.
That's so true. Yes, everybody has a high and a low day. There are good days and bad days for everyone. It's biblical, but I won't go
Mhm.
into that.
Yep.
So just know that it's there, good and bad days for everyone on this earth. No one is exempt from experiencing these highs and lows. Step
These
5,
positives and negatives and all of that. Yep, exactly.
yes. Learn
Some
from.
won't admit it. Some won't admit it to others, but they still have it. I actually have a friend who always seems up and is never down, but I know them well enough, because I have been around them long enough to know, but they never let other people see that negativity,
I think
that
that's me.
self-doubt.
Yeah, I
Whereas
haven't.
me, I'll throw it out there. I that's how I deal with it, is by telling others, like, this is not working. This is horrible. This is, I'm going through this, and it's awful. Um, I'm just, I guess, that real, that down to earth type person. Is what you see is what you get. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's there.
I think that's good. I need to try to be more like that. I'm only real with certain people, and then the rest of the people is like you get the English oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. Everything's good. The English response is what I call it.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody says in a practically in America is
Yeah.
that,
How
oh,
are you?
things are
Oh,
fine.
I'm fine. How are you? When they just went through a car wreck, or, just
Right.
going through a divorce, but oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, everything's okay. Yeah, that's my response to like 90% of the world. And then only very few people get today was a hard day, and
Yep.
just really do the deep dive.
Yep. I
And
got I got past the I'm fine by saying I'm still standing. That
oh,
means I'm real. I'm okay, but I'm not fine, but I am still standing, and so we're good to go. I don't want to get into it, but you know,
right. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good because it lets people know that every day is not a good day, and I need
yep,
to work on doing that. Saying
yep.
I'm still standing
I'm
because
still standing, so
yeah,
it must be good.
Yeah, because we need to know, people need to know that not everybody has a good day. Everybody
Mhm.
feeds off of everybody's good energy, but we also need to know that not every day is a good day. And it's okay to have bad days. And it's okay when you're going through something.
Yeah. And by acknowledging to somebody that you are maybe not having the best day, you give them the opportunity to minister to you or to support you. Whereas if you just are always, I'm fine, then you're taking away their opportunity to help support, which is a human reflection, a human need actually to be supportive of other people.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I like that. Before moving on, we got anything else? Are we good?
We're good. Let's go to the
Okay.
next one.
Step 5, learn from your peers. A common symptom of imposter syndrome is comparing yourself to your peers and thinking you're worse at your job than they are. The reality is no one is a master at everything, but everyone is a master at of something. So, let's dive into this one. You want to start or shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, I want to just go back to social media for a split second for this one,
Yeah.
because how many people look on those social media pages and go, oh, I wish I was them, or oh, this, or oh, that. And you're just comparing your life to theirs,
To their snapshot.
to their snapshot. Yes. And I mean, people have asked me why I don't post on social media. It's mainly because I don't want to see the other stuff so that I won't get caught up in comparing myself to other people. I post on social media once a year. And I might look out there once a year of what all has been going on social media. I will say twice a year I'll look out there, but definitely once a year I'll post, and that's usually on New Year's. And so it's mainly because when I look out there, I either see people doing not so well or people doing great, you know, and there's a mixture of both. And
Mhm.
so, your heart either sinks or goes happy, and it's like an emotional roller coaster in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Just honesty.
I think I've developed a pretty good filter on social media. I like to think so. Anyway, I'd have to probably reflect on that for a while, but just in general, I have no problem scrolling past something that it looks kind of negative or doesn't pertain to me, or I like to look on social media for those things that I am not good at, to get ideas on how to be better at it, like cooking, for instance. I am not a cook. I do not like to be in the kitchen. I do not like deciding what others are going to eat. I do not like putting things together and wondering how it's going to taste. So I do enjoy watching what others do to help improve that for me. But when it comes to, like politics or silly stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's not good. That's not bad for me either way. It's just not me. Um, so I remember when I first started working, I was amazed by how much people were like, oh, you know how to do that? Come show me. Or I'd be in a class about uh, various software programs like Word or Excel, and people would be struggling, and the teacher would have to deal with 8 or 10 people. And so I'd be like, oh, I get it. And so I would end up helping. I was almost a teacher's helper because it came naturally to me. Or I had already learned it before and I was waiting to get to the higher level stuff of the class. And I would see that people really didn't get it. And I'm like, that's so simple. Why don't you get it? But I never said that. It was like, they haven't gotten through it the way I have. They haven't done it. There's 6 different ways to do something on the computer. You can control C to copy, you can right click to copy, you can screenshot and copy. I mean, there's different ways on everything you do on the computer to get there. And so if you don't know this way, that doesn't mean you don't know it this way. And it's just a different learning curve. So you're right. Everybody knows something that somebody else doesn't know. You just don't know that you don't know it yet.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yes, the paths that we take. And that's kind of how I feel about social media. Everyone is on their own path. And so when you learn from your peers, it's not to compare yourself that, oh, she's better than me, or I feel like I'm better or higher than them. It's more of oh, well, I'm glad that that's going good for their life,
Yeah.
because it's not necessarily to compare yourself and go, well, I want my life to be like theirs. No, because we each walk a unique path, and no path at the end of the day, no path is aligned perfectly the same. I think from birth, we can say the path of life has been different for all of us.
Absolutely. I try really hard not to say, oh, I know how you feel, because you don't. Because
So
everybody feels something differently, even if they're going through grief. Well, I've been through very intense grief, but do I know how they feel? No. I know how I felt. I know how I dealt with it. I can relate to how they feel, but I don't know. It's a wording thing, but I've worked really hard not to say, oh, I know how you feel. I'll say, I understand that, or I can relate, but I try really hard not to say, I know how you feel, because it's not true.
that is so true. Yes, I agree. Yes. And so imposter syndrome, if you're trying to I guess the best way to put this is you're working at a job and you have somebody in the same area as you, and you do something really good, or they do something really good, and you're like, oh, I wish I was them. Or even that, you're the imposter and it's opposite. Oh, do they think I did a good job? It's like, just rather, it's not about anybody else's opinion. It's about how you felt inside. I guess another good thing that popped in my head just now was, who are you doing it for? I guess that's what would determine the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
As Christianity, it's like we do all things for God's glory. So in your higher power, it would be you do all things for your higher power. So are you doing this to be looked at, to be known, to be whatever? Who are you doing it for? That's really what matters most with
Are
imposter.
you doing it for the self-glory and for
Right.
the to be the influencer, or are you doing it to genuinely help others and be a servant leader?
Yes, I like the way you worded that. Thank you. Okay. Step 6, our last and final one. So it says, pat yourself on the back once in a while. Sometimes the best way to overcome imposter syndrome is to face it head on. Celebrate your accomplishments the next time you feel good about something you've done. Share your achievements with your coworkers or someone you trust outside of work, such as a friend or family member. Keep a record of positive feedback, praise the next time you hear that negative inner voice. This will help you take the sting out of any criticism.
It's so hard for humans. I think in any of the groups I've been in, they're like, okay, what are your successes this week? And I sit there and I go, I don't know. I survived, because it's not natural, I don't think, to self-praise. They say one of the 7 sins is pride, and that it's a borderline thing. It's like, yes, you can take pride in what you do, but being prideful is too far. And so it's hard for us as humans to praise ourselves. And it's probably how I got into the habit of saying the negative to get others to praise me, with
I like
myself.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough one to balance and not be prideful, but to be proud of what you have accomplished and to acknowledge that. We're doing that with my daughter.
Mhm.
She's in a counseling class for school, and one of the questions each week is, so what have you done? What's good this week? What have you done this week? And she's like, I don't know. And then we have to point out things that we've seen. It's like, well, look, you did all of these. You got so far ahead. You were so far behind, and now you're getting forward, or, you know, various different things that other people see. But she's just like, well, yeah, I just did it. So,
Exactly. I think we don't like to gloat on ourselves. And
well, as
so,
Christians, we're taught not
yeah,
to.
right. Exactly. And I think there's a point where over gloating goes too far, but I feel like there's a point where you do have to praise yourself,
Mhm.
because I would do a whole lot of work every week, and my counselor would go, well, what'd you do? And I'm like, nothing, just like you. Nothing. I didn't
Mhm.
do anything this week. She's like, so let's break it down. You literally sat all at home all day in a bed and you didn't do anything. It's like, well, no, I cooked, I cleaned, I
Exactly.
washed.
But those
And
aren't successes. Those are just normal day life.
but you start there. It starts
Yeah,
there to
it does.
praise yourself on the little things, so that when the big things come, you'll know that you've accomplished something great, because you do a lot in a day, but you only think of half, maybe a third of what you actually complete in a day. And the rest of is all off, like, oh, that was easy. And that you discredit your skills
Hmm.
for something you've done great.
That's what I love about checklists. You
Mm-hmm.
check it off. And I've even been known to add things just so I could check it off. It's like, oh, I did that. It was a distraction, but I did it. So I'm going to add it to my list and know that I checked it off, to look at the end of the day and go, wow, I did do a lot of stuff. Whereas many days you look and I go, I haven't accomplished anything. What have I done all day? I've been sitting here. What have I done? Because it wasn't the thing that I was supposed to do. It wasn't the priority. I got distracted, like we were talking at the very beginning of the list, all these distractions and threats. But in the end, even those threats can be accomplishments because we did get them
Yes.
done. Maybe it wasn't the best priority or the best production for the day, but you got it done and it's still progress.
I agree. I like that. That is so good. And the distractions are accomplishments. Don't discredit that either. So I guess we can end. I want to end with a little bit of topic on self-care, because all of these were kind of you having to go out and kind of um focus on yourself. So it's good to take that self-care time. I know with me, like, I get a massage. I would say just today alone, I've had 3 massages
Nice.
after every activity, um, to kind of, because I get back to back. And so I'm like, you're going to stop and you're going to rest. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm trying to add into my new year. It's time to rest and not overdo it, because you get more done when your body feels great, not when your body is hurting and in pain and you're tired and you haven't had enough sleep and you're on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, self care is taking the time to actually go and work out, like to do my walks every day, because even like today, I haven't gotten to it. And I'm like, okay, I'll make up for it tomorrow because I'll have more time tomorrow. But if I don't put it in the schedule and say, yes, I'm allowed to do this for me. This is a goal. This is for me. It makes me feel better. It gives me more energy. It's towards my weight gain or weight loss goal. It's okay to put that into a schedule. And sometimes you have to do that to say, no, I don't have to be at my desk working every hour of 9, 10, 12 hours. I can take this time, but we don't like to do that. We think, oh, we've got to be productive. We've got to get this done. So I put it in my schedule as this is an activity I have to get done today.
I agree. And the world will still run without all of us in it.
Yes, it will. Yes, it
Take
will.
time. Take the time.
Okay. This has been a great discussion. This has been really good. I love it. So let's see. Jennifer's not here with any announcements, but I do know we are working on some new pages to our website. Jennifer does public speaking. She's an author. She has always got something new going on. So if you are a part of a company or know of a company who would like to have Jennifer come and do a presentation, we are going to be having a web page that you can go to. For now, go to Jen's Books and More, and you can see the various podcasts that we do, the various topics we associate with, and there's several ways to reach Jennifer, so that if you have some topics you would like for us to discuss on mental health awareness, or if you would like for her to do a presentation for your group, there will be ways to reach out to her, and she is open to hearing from any and everyone who would be interested in that. So once again, be sure to subscribe, like, and share our posts, our social media pages, and again, go to our website, Jen's Books and More, JENNSBOOKSANDBMORE.com, Jen's Books and More, all spelled out, to look at all our various shows and offerings. We will be gone for the rest of the month on vacation for the holidays. So I believe our next mental health awareness podcast will be on January 8th. That is at Monday, January 8th, 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central Time. I'll let you calculate it for the rest of the world, wherever you may be. But we would love to hear from you in the comments. And like I said, if you have any subjects that you would like for us to discuss, we are very open to those ideas. So until next time, have a great holiday, and we wish you productive and enjoyable weeks. Take care, everybody. Thanks.